Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining the Center County Board of Commissioners for our meeting on Tuesday, September 25th. We will begin our meeting as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. At this time, we'll accept any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda. Would there be any comment at this time? And if there's anybody on the phone who would like to offer public comment, you can use the raise the hand feature, and we will accept that public comment as well. Okay, seeing no one here for public comment, we'll move to our meeting minutes for Tuesday, September 15th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes from the September 15th Board of Commissioners meeting.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 The motion is carried. We have proclamation number 20 of 2020, and this is proclaiming October 1st, 2020 as Day of Caring in Center County. And we're pleased to have joining with us the Executive Director of the Center County United Way, Wendy Vintage. And we'll welcome you up if you would be willing to join us, Wendy, at the podium. We'd be excited to hear a little bit about what exactly the Day of Caring will look like in 2020. We're assuming it will look maybe a little different from the previous years, but still helping the community, still assisting, and wanted to have you here today to talk a little bit about that. So good morning.
Sure. Well, good morning, and thank you, Commissioners. Thank you so much. Thank you, Margaret, for having me this morning. So Day of Caring is always a wonderful day. It's the biggest volunteer effort across the county. Of course, because of COVID, we just can't have that kind of risk. So we thought, well, what's a way that we can still support our nonprofits in the area that need the help the most? So instead of a regular Day of Caring, we're doing what's called the Day of Caring powered by PNC. And on October 1st, rather than going out and getting our shovels and landscaping and all that fun stuff, instead, we'll have a website. You can go to our website at the Center County United Way, or you can go to day-of-caring.org. And what we're doing is we're asking the community to make donations that would support those nonprofits who have lost major fundraisers in the spring and the fall due to the COVID pandemic. So we're really looking forward to this event.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. And in terms of when it officially begins, would it be a certain time on October 1st and ending at a certain time on October 1st, or what's the window?
It'll be a 24-hour
Okay,
October 1st. Yep.
Okay, super. So at 12:01, October 1st,
Yes.
get your credit cards and donations ready. And,
Stay up late.
Excellent. All right. And again, this would be, you've done for 26 years this traditional Day of Caring. This would be the 27th still Day of Caring powered by PNC. But still, at the end of the day, it helps these organizations to do what they can, especially during this pandemic. And the website, again, is day-of-caring.org. So people can go there to donate. So we're pleased to have you here today. But any other questions or comments from my fellow board members?
I just think Colonel Russell would be very proud that you are carrying and soldiering through these tough times. So, good work.
He was quite an inspiration, so thank you.
And appreciate you being flexible and finding a new way to celebrate the day that's safe for everybody.
Super, Wendy. Okay, so we have Proclamation 2020, and again, as Commissioner Dersham mentioned, when retired Marine Colonel Gerald Russell asked community members to come together on the first Thursday in October to volunteer their time. And so we do this in his honor and his leadership. So we'd be resolving in the recognition of 27 years of service to the Center County community, us, the Board of Commissioners, is proclaiming October 1st, 2020 as the Day of Caring. And we urge all citizens and residents to support the United Way.
Yep. Ready for the motion?
Sorry, yeah.
Motion to adopt Proclamation 20 of 2020, proclaiming October 1st, 2020 as a Day of Caring in Center County.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, Wendy, thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep, good luck.
Take care. Thank you. For our COVID-19 planning and response, I'll turn this over to Margaret, and she can give some updates, welcome people up at her discretion.
All right, thank you very much. First, I'd like to provide just a couple of comments about some efforts that are taking place in our community around COVID-19 mitigation. As everyone is very well aware, we are experiencing significant increases in the number of COVID-19 positive cases in the county. And last week, the commissioners were contacted by the Department of Health to offer our county at large assistance in working to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Specifically, they have put together and deployed a process which is referred to as C-REACT. And in case you're wondering what that stands for, it's COVID-19 Response for Emergency Assistance to Counties team. And this team is comprised of representatives from the Department of Health, the Department of Education, PEMA, and they are working with us, identifying stakeholders, trying to understand what's been working, what needs to happen, and they will quickly make some recommendations about any strategies that perhaps have not been considered here yet in the county. One of the efforts as an outgrowth of this is the establishment of a walk-up testing site for COVID-19, and it will be operational this Friday and Saturday, and then again next Tuesday through Saturday. There is a press release that was distributed by the department on Friday. I know that many of you already have that. The details are included in that press release, but we're very happy to have this extra resource in determining and helping our citizens to have easy access to testing for COVID-19. So very appreciative of their efforts, and we'll be hearing more from them this week as they've made their way through talking with different stakeholders in the community. So that's the first part. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that.
Just to also add, we did find out that children will be able to, there is no age limit essentially that for tests. So if kids would need to be getting tested, that is allowable. We found that out through the Department of Health. And so I think that was just an important thing to add on. So,
Yes,
yep.
excellent.
Yep.
Okay, and so for the second part of our COVID-19 report this morning, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Kay Williams to provide just a brief update on where we are with distribution of monies from our County Relief Block Grant.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we're pretty happy in that I do want to please mention that Molly Kunkel is on the phone, call in from Center Foundation. If anybody has any questions or needs any updates on anything, we had a Zoom call with Molly yesterday and her team. It was a call-in, and so what I've learned is that we have 11 completed applications for the nonprofits and 28 in progress. So I was really hoping and suggesting that people, kind of get their fingers ready to the keyboard because we'd like more applications to come in for the nonprofit segment of the grant. It went into effect last Monday, and it's closing Monday, September 28th at 5 p.m. So I'm going to ask you to please, a lot of the small businesses either found out about it later or waited kind of toward the last minute. So I'm strongly encouraging people to come out for the nonprofits and do the application. You can be a 501c3, 501c19. So I'm asking you, please let your friends and relatives and let everybody know about it. So we're excited that is processing. And I'll just pause if there's any questions for Molly or for me on that section.
Okay. Any questions for Molly or Mary Kay on this? Hey, yeah.
There was a group I wanted to highlight. I believe volunteer fire companies and EMS companies and other emergency responders that are organized as 501c3s are eligible for this. I know those groups are badly impacted right now because they can't hold their usual fundraisers. So would definitely reach out to those groups and ask them to please apply.
Yes, absolutely. As well as any tourism, like the Center County Grange or museums, things of that nature, or, those types of things. So please, please take advantage of the funds that are available because Center County Commissioners have really been supportive of not just the small businesses, but of nonprofits. So,
And even if it's a $2,000 request, I mean, even if it's $2,000, you
Right.
you bought some PPE or you bought some signage, we're happy to, provide that. We do appreciate that there is some evidence that you need to bring to bear for this, but, we want to make sure the money is well used and use it however we can. So we again.
Can I?
Absolutely.
This is Molly.
Hi, Molly. Absolutely, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to step in and say, too, that we have, initially we sent emails connected with all the nonprofits, and we really pretty much are connected to most of the nonprofits in the community. We emailed directly. We'll be reminding everybody and sending out another email. We've been, we're posting on our Facebook page. We did do a question and answer session yesterday, a webinar. That was well attended. We're already up. I did just ask this morning, and I think we're up to 13 completed applications, and we have 31 or 32 in process. And I would also just say that this is pretty much right on target for, in our experience, the way these applications go, and we would expect a flurry later in the week. So I'm not concerned that the numbers are low. I feel like we're hearing from people, we're getting questions, people are starting to make the applications. So I feel confident we'll get a good cross-section. Still, absolutely, everybody, make sure that you tell everybody, or if you work with a nonprofit or you have a favorite one, do encourage them to apply. But I do believe that we've got the word out, and I think people will be applying. So I feel good about the interactions we've had with the website so far.
Okay, thank you very much, Molly. Thank you. Any other final comments, feedback on the nonprofit grant discussion? Okay, any questions for Mary Kay?
I just want to clarify, fire companies should be applying for this, or is there a separate category for?
If they're a 501c3 if they're a 501c3, they absolutely should be applying now. So any sort of 501c3 organization, or if you're a 501c19, should be applying at this time.
And just wanted to follow up, you may
We're connected to most of the fire companies, so again, they will have heard from us, and we grant to many of them already anyway, so we have been in touch with them.
the timeline for the small businesses, is that still on track for early October for that first round of money to get out?
It is going to be the first part of October. We had quite a large, when I've been talking to other counties, we were one of the largest applications been received through Center County. So I'm going to attribute that to everybody's good work of getting the word out, particularly Commissioner Higgins and his footwork. So we are still working with that. I'm working with the Small Business Development Center. We're going to come up with the listing of the first set of businesses will be those who did not get any PPE, and then the next round will be, when I say round, next batch will be about a few weeks after that. So we should be on target for the early October timeframe.
Yeah, as an example, I'm in Clinton County, which had a small business grant program a little smaller than ours. I think they had just under 50 applicants. Well, we only have 4 times their population, so we did get a lot of applications. Actually, we're quite pleased with the small business participation.
Okay. All right,
That's
Mary
all I
Kay,
have.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Molly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on with the agenda, we have under our contracts a capital project update, and Margaret will turn it back to you.
Yes, this item is a request from our project manager, Weber Murphy Fox, managing the courthouse renovations. Due to the duration of this project, which is extended way beyond the original schedule, in part due to COVID-19, in part due to some other delivery-related issues, and some work on structural engineering for the library and signage, all of those reasons, they have exhausted the hourly amount that was provided for in the contract. So the request today is to amend the contract with an additional 45 hours of project management time, which would be for a total of $6,525. This should take us to the finish line of the project. As you know, we're inching ever so closely to that point, and hope to be out of the building very soon. So.
Great. Renovations look very nice coming along. They're coming along really nicely. It's going to be a really great space for additional staff to use. And
You'll
yeah.
see some movement this week because we've been waiting for the final piece of the railing on part of the building. It's been the point of hold up here. Once that's installed, then we'll be able to see the back door can be opened for temporary ADA use and more movement within the newly renovated section of the courthouse. So I think this week is the week you're going to see some real movement forward.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions, comments on this? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the contract addendum with Weber, Murphy, Fox, Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Any questions? All right. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Margaret. All right, for our next item, we have Dale and Norm to discuss this quote from Tower Services Unlimited here on today's agenda. Good morning to both of you. Morning.
Concerning the 40-year-old tower, the 911 tower on Center Hall Mountain, which is a linchpin to our 911 radio system. In July, crusting cracks were discovered in all three of the anchors that support the tower. An engineer was engaged, and an inspection revealed that there existed other structural problems with that tower, and it was especially vulnerable to high winds. Because of the issues that precluded reinforcement, like extra steel, extra concrete, that was not in the cards. So Tower Services Unlimited of Harrisburg was engaged, and they agreed to construct a new tower on the site. So Norm and I are requesting the board consider approving an agreement with Tower Services Unlimited for the construction of the replacement tower. The cost of the quote was $242,000, $242,415, but this quote does not include prevailing wage. We have not received that quote back from the Department of Labor yet, so right now that's an unknown figure. That the prevailing wage will be a percentage of the quote that I just gave you. So considering that time is of the essence here in this project because of the risk of the current tower, Norm and I would like the board to consider approving or moving forward with this agreement.
Sure. Well, that's an important part of this. We don't want to violate any of the prevailing wage laws. Since this is a quote for next week, what I think we could do and could consider is approving the agreement subject to the final quote for prevailing wage. I mean, we have to do it with prevailing wage, and so because of the scope of the project, we are doing it co-stars, so we're not doing an RFP process, which is a benefit. This is a co-stars entity, so that saves us some time, saves us some money when we go out to bid. So this is co-stars again. But that's what I would be comfortable with. Moving forward with it, we don't want to let it lag, but as soon as you get that figure of what it would be, including prevailing wage from the Pennsylvania Department of Labor, we just plug that in, and we approve it next week. That'd be my suggestion, unless there's another. Oh, no, please, Margaret.
I was just going to say, we have submitted the application for age, and as Dale said, because of time is really urgent here to get it on, and then we'll get the numbers in before we would bring it back for consent, so that you have the full.
If we don't get the numbers back in, we can project a number forward and adjust that as requested. I think you're probably looking at about a 30% increase in your labor rate, so I'm sure it would take a little bit of math to figure out exactly how much that would be. But I think the gravity of this situation indicates we need to move quickly.
Okay. So again, Thursday or Tuesday, you can let us know what the numbers are, but it would be good on the final agenda on Tuesday to have that final number, so that sounds good. Okay, all right. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Norman Dale, I'd like to thank you and your staff for all of your hard work. Unfortunately, sometimes things break, things degrade, and you should kind of find out about it in a big surprise. Will the contractor be able to have pretty much everything up before the bad weather hits?
There's a 12-week lead time in creating the tower, bending the steel and delivering it. But the work is anticipated to be done by late December of this year. So we hope to have it done by 12/30.
The only real weather-sensitive part of this, I'm sure, is probably the footers and making sure that they're poured correctly. Because those steel guys can go up in all sorts of weather, so I'm sure.
All right. And I want to also thank you and your staff for all the hard work for providing the wireless broadband to Penns Valley. Over 700 families and businesses utilize that service now. That company is now expanding into surrounding counties like Mifflin and Juniata. And I know this is one of the two major towers that they've been hanging equipment off of. I'm assuming during the cutover time, we might be dark in that area for both emergency communications and rural broadband for a few hours as equipment's moved?
There's a plan in place not to have any downtime. So that involves the existing tower and then duplicating the equipment on the new tower. So we hope that, and we plan on no downtime for either service, broadband or 800 megahertz radio.
Oh, that's fabulous. Very good.
Good news. Okay. Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention so quickly. We appreciate this, both of you. Any final questions before we look for a motion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll look for that motion.
Motion to add the quote from Tower Services Unlimited, Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you. Chris, you're up next. I have a presentation regarding this MOU for Final Land Development Plan. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you.
Sure.
The memorandum of understanding that's being presented today, just to give an idea of what the MOU is for, it's a three-party agreement between the developer, township, and the county, whereby the developer agrees to reimburse, in this case, Benner Township, for the costs associated with the township engineers processing, reviewing, inspecting, and approving the engineering details of the plan. The MOU that's brought before you is a final plan submission, and it shows the subdivision of 3 lots, with 2 of the lots proposed to have residential duplexes thereon, and the other lot having an existing single-family residence. There's going to be infrastructure that is corresponding with this memorandum of understanding, such as a private street, utilities, and stormwater management. And to give an idea of where this is located, it is in Benner Township. This is the property that's being subdivided and developed. Centerpiece is located right to the east of this property, and this is the intersection of Fishburne Hill Road and Benner Pike. If you head north, you're going into Bellefonte, and if you're heading in the other direction, which is south, you're heading toward the I-90 interchange Nittany Mall area. This is the existing house, and if you go to the next slide, Commissioner Pipe, this is the plan that was brought before the County Planning Commission at last Tuesday's meeting, showing the 3 lots, which is one lot, and this is the 3rd lot with the existing house and garage. The 2 lots that are being subdivided and developed are located right there next to each other, and there's the duplex, which is about 3,570 square feet, with each individual unit comprising about 1,785 square feet, with the private street to service the lots thereon. And that's the plan and the MOU that's under consideration for today's meeting.
Thank you, Chris. Timeline of this is if there was approval, when would they start construction?
As soon as they meet the requirements that were imposed at Tuesday's meeting.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions on the MOU? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the MOU for LSCRP LLC to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay, under Human Services, we'll welcome up Natalie Corman. Hi, Natalie.
Good morning. For an agenda item later. For Natalie.
Oh, is it for, okay.
It's not for mine, but for her. So, first up, I have on behalf of the Office of Adult Services 4 contracts that are specific to the food pantries that we assist with in Center County. And so, as you know, Central Pennsylvania Community Action is our lead agency. So the funding that we receive from the state gets funneled onto Community Action, and then they work with our designated food pantries throughout the county. So the contracts today included addendum. We received an additional $2,421.10 at the end of the fiscal year. So we were able to spend that. And so that increased their allocation on their contract to $87,716.17. Contract number 2 is for their specific Just to Cares money that we received. So State Food Purchase Program received CARE dollars in the amount of $71,697.45. That funding can go back to March 27th and can be spent through the rest of December 31st of 2020. So we're doing a separate contract with them just specific to the CARES dollars so we can report on it, track it a little bit differently than the rest of the money that we receive. Item number 3 is our report for 1920. The project total was $89,965. All of that is state funded. And if I find my notes, $82,769 of that funding was all spent on food. So a very small portion is actually spent on admin. And in our fiscal year, we served 2,814 households, which totaled 4,533 individuals. And then the final item is the renewal for fiscal year 2021, our typical allocation of $84,540.63. And we did receive an allocation letter for this amount, so that's why we're able to do the contract as it is this year, since they gave us the allocation despite the state budget that we're dealing with right now. So
Thank you,
that's
Natalie.
all of adult services.
And for that number 3, you talked about 2,000 individuals, 2,000 families, 4,000 individuals. Is that for every single food pantry, food bank, or is that just for the non-state college one? Does that include the state college
It does include the state college one?
It does not? Or
It does. It does say college, Bellefonte, Penn Valley, Center Hall, Howard, Phillipsburg, Snowshoe, and Center House.
Okay.
Housing Transitions has a very small amount of allocation that they receive for emergency funding. So all 8 of those includes those individuals. And we were up, Faith just sent me that, we were actually up about 900 individuals from 1819 to 1920.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a reminder of the increased need. I think that's important.
And our county website continues to advertise where all the food pantries are, when they do it, where you live based on which pantry you go to. So we keep that information up to date.
And anybody who has requested, who meets the criteria, is able to get food.
Yes.
We haven't had any shortages or anything. Okay.
Donations really have been amazing in this community as well. Our food pantries are actually been really fortunate to have received donations as well.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments before we look for a motion to add those 4 items for adult services to next week's consent agenda? Okay. Will there be a motion?
Motion to add adult services items 1 through 4 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that. Any further discussion on that? Yeah, please.
The programs you're talking about are in Center County.
Do they coincide all with, say, like YMCA's anti-hunger program or other programs like that?
That's very different. This is just the funding that we receive through the Department of Agriculture that allows our food pantries to purchase food based on the vendors that we use, specific for the food pantries. So it is different than the YMCA program. So it's an addition to in our community.
All right, seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. And we'll move on to MHIDEI.
So the first item I have for you is the Department of Human Services triannual supports coordination organization qualification application. What this is the Department of Human Services qualifies our supports coordinators that we have in our office. So that's the intellectual disability case managers that we have. So every 3 years, Department of Human Services qualifies us. So we send them our clearances, documentation of the education that our staff have, documentation of administration of the county, and so we go through that process. So then we are a qualified provider of that service. And so this application is part of that process. We're up in our 3 years. And so we have everything ready to go. And for us, we support about 452 individuals in that supports coordination program. We have 10 supports coordinators, 2 supervisors, and 1 assistant administrator. So all of their information is what's being sent in the application. And we asked for same day just so we can get that in to meet the time frame that they give us.
Thank you, Natalie. Any questions on that? Will there be a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the triennial supports coordination organization qualification application.
Second.
I will not be saying that 3 times.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Okay.
Then moving forward with some other items.
So the next one is our fiscal year 1920 Human Services Block Grant Report. So I was just before the board, 3 weeks ago during the 2021 plan. And so this is finishing up our 1920 Human Service Block Grant Report. And so what I can tell you is that during our fiscal year, we have spent $6,249,214 on services in that block grant. Of that, $260,111 is our county match. Our obligation is 4.61%, and we met that. So the remainder was all state and federal dollars that we received to do a variety of our services, our mental health services, services in intellectual disability, drug and alcohol, homelessness, and human services. In total, based on each of the categories that we do in the services, 13,107 individuals received services. While that is duplicated, it's not duplicated within the categories that we do. So, we served, I'm trying to find 14 individuals in our bridge housing program through Center Safe and Housing Transitions. So the report highlights all of that we are required to give. The report also asks us to give 3 impacts. So we highlight areas that we moved funding around. So we increased our rental assistance dollars this year. Obviously, with everything going on with CARES, before that money kind of came in, we needed to immediately kind of respond to it. So we did that. We gave some additional funding to our family-based mental health services. So during the pandemic, we could still maintain working relationships with those families and to provide supports for them. So that, and then the final item of our report is our retained earnings. So we are obligated and allowed to keep up to 5%, and we landed at about 4.69% is where we landed at the year. And our recommendation for our retained earning plans is to have that funding be available for emergency services. And so last week when I gave you a contract for a psychiatrist, that falls under that. But we also are mindful that our delegate services are a priority for us. We have to fund that service. So if we take any cuts, our delegate services can be filled with those cuts with this retained earnings. It allows us to also be aware of any of our crisis services, any transports that we're required to do for our commitments. So that's why we opted to just put the money toward emergency services to be prepared for what could come our way. If we get fully funded, then it gives us some opportunity to spend some money in that emergency services with some ideas that we might have. So that's our retained plan that we obligated. It was reviewed yesterday with the MHID Advisory Board. And then once it's submitted, we'll put it up on our county website as well.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
So there's that. And then the rest are just 2 contract renewals. One's with Community Services Group. They provide us with a variety of services, including psych rehab, outpatient, as well as residential. That contract total is $210,317, county share being $9,696. And the other one is with Beacon Light Behavioral Health, and they do our outpatient mobile medication management. That contract total is for $16,667, county share being $768. And as always, these contracts show 5 months of funding right now.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Any questions on the fiscal year, the 2 renewals? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the MHIDEI items 2 through 4 to next week's consent agenda.
Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Natalie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as we always like to see the grants and those moving along. We have one with the, as a pass-through for the county through the Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority, and we have Joanne Schaefer here from the CCRRA with us today to lend some perspective and context. So good morning, Joanne.
Gentlemen, good morning. Good to see you all. This is the first in-person meeting that I've attended since February, so
Wow.
it's a big outing for me today.
Welcome.
Welcome.
What you have today is a grant that's known as the Section 901B, which provides for funds for education for household hazardous waste collections. Because of the pandemic, the authority did have to postpone this year's household hazardous waste collection, which was scheduled in April. It is now rescheduled for November 20th and 21st, Friday and Saturday. So this is a 2-year agreement. It is an 80-20 split between the authority and Pennsylvania DEP, with Pennsylvania DEP providing 80% funding at $75,000 over 2 years. So we will be experiencing some changes that, if it's all right, I'd like to mention about the household hazardous waste collection. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, there will be pre-registration required. As I'm speaking to you back at the office, we're in the process of putting together that plan. So it is going to be web-based. We are going to be limited, obviously, because of the gathering restrictions, and so we will be very, very strictly adhering to the pre-registration plan. Because we don't have that all of the details worked out yet, we're encouraging people to go to our website at centercountyrecycles.org, and as soon as that's ready, which I'm hoping is by the end of today, then people will be able to register. There will be 15-minute increments. So this is a change from what we've done in the past. People have been used to just coming out, making or bringing the acceptable materials along with them, and so we're going to have to control the flow of traffic into the authority. We're going to be using a piece of software called Eventbrite, which was made available through the state. So we're grateful for that at no charge to the authority. So we will also be truncating slightly the amount of hours, and yeah, I did hear that sort of just click on. So we'll be doing Friday on the 20th from 8 until 4, which are the normal hours of the transfer station, rather than having the extended hours, and 8 until 2 on the Saturday. So we are encouraging people to come out. We will be using a fair amount of this money, probably at least half of it, once we have the details, to make sure that all of the public does get the website, what we're taking, what their appointment is going to be, and so on and so forth. So we really want to provide this opportunity to the Center County public. As you all know, people have been home much more often than in the past, and one of the ways that they have been taking up their time has been cleaning out those basements, garages, so on and so forth. And I know that the gentleman from from first responders have gone, but it's also important to make sure, because your first responders are your friends, your neighbors, and your firefighters. So to get these things, the pesticides, the herbicides, so on, out of your house in case there is an emergency is very, very protective, not only of our environment, but also our emergency responders. Any questions, gentlemen, or anything that I didn't bring out?
Sounds like, Joanne, that the authority is putting a lot of thought and time into how to do this, and making, living with the virus, living with the pandemic, and understanding it's a vital service you provide. So kudos to that.
Thank
and wish all the best with this. But I think citizens will really appreciate the fact you're going above and beyond to make sure that they can still use this vital. Because I think a few of us have a corner of our garage dedicated to all this stuff, and we're just waiting until you announce the next date. So, again, thank you for working on this. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Any other comments, thoughts? Pretty straightforward. All right. We'll look for a motion to approve the grant agreement. Oh, sure. No, Gary, please. Yeah. Or Marley, whoever. Yeah.
Believe me, we tried, but no, unfortunately
Will you be
not.
collecting any?
Bring it all over to your house, Gary.
Glad that's ordered. Will you be collecting any used PPE materials, face masks, that type of thing?
We have had calls about that, and the answer to that is no. Unfortunately, in these times, the waste reduction, as some of you are doing with the washable masks, is the only advice that we have. So no PPE, no medical waste, no anything. I'm sorry?
I don't think, do you take oil-based paints?
We will take oil-based paints. Latex paints should not be brought to the collection. They are not harmful to the environment. There are other methods, and if anyone needs to know how to properly dispose of latex paint, again, check our website at centercountyrecycles.org.
Just another follow-up, and that would be, do you anticipate during the pandemic, you hinted at this a bit, but during the hazardous waste collection, do you anticipate even more? Just because people have had more time, as you hinted at, to clean out things, they're at home with a garage of things and a basement full of things maybe that they now have time to gather.
What we've done so far is we've looked at other collections that have happened around the state during the pandemic. Actually, they just restarted about the middle of August. And so the answer to that is yes. What we are anticipating is that there will be more per car than what we're used to seeing, because people really have had the opportunity to spend that time at home and sort of going through things. In a very odd, to me, which seemed to be somewhat odd sort of result of the pandemic, has also been that we have noticed that residential recycling is up. So people are spending more time at home. They're being a little more conscientious about making sure that they're recycling properly. Of course, commercial recycling is down because of restrictions on restaurants and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanne. We look for the motion that would approve this grant agreement.
Motion to approve the grant agreement with PA Department of Environmental Protection.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Seeing no further questions, all in favor of approving it, say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you as always, Joanne.
Thank you. Stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to welcome Ray Stolinas to the meeting. Ray, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
We're good, thank you. We're here to discuss the CDBG project selection for FFY 2020.
Yes. I believe Mitzi may be on the line as well.
She is not, Ray. She.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like she dropped off. Our apologies about that.
Oh, not a problem. Last week, we reviewed a number of projects for fiscal year 2020. As you know, our CDBG grant amount will be about $351,058. The net available for projects would be $289,058. 6 projects were a variety of things ranging from infrastructure for 2 water authorities. Two were for slum and blight with regards to removal of homes, and 2 other ideas that were presented were related to the curb cut idea for handicap accessibility in municipalities that are looking at placing new curb cuts, and then also was discussed as a last potential project would be consideration for housing rehabilitation program with the potential housing authority. I know the top 2 projects that were infrastructure, the Haynes-Aaronsburg Municipal Authority and the Penn Township water tank replacement were both infrastructure projects that incurred an LMI survey, which I'm not sure, I don't have an update on whether those 2 surveys have been completed. I believe Mitzi was working with both communities on that. But that's the rundown of projects that we had for 2020.
Okay, and today, Ray, are we making any selections, or are we just essentially just reviewing the list again?
I believe we're reviewing the list as I presented it. I don't think we have any selected project at this time until we find out about the LMI surveys for both the water projects. I think those both have potential, and we need to know whether they have completed those. I think that'll be important in the decision for how to move forward with 2020.
Okay, so we're essentially just saying one of these 4 or a combination of these 4 are going to be the ones that we're approving, and we're just moving forward, adding this to next week's agenda.
Yes.
Okay, all right, excellent. Any questions specifically on any of the projects, for the process, any feedback?
No, I'm just hoping that the Habitat for Humanity project is a possibility. I really think that they do some great work, and it's leverage money with community members having a big stake in that. So not only in equity, but also in sweat equity as well. So.
Absolutely, keeps somebody in a home or a new family in a home that's affordable and improves the neighborhood. So absolutely, good. All right. Any feedback, Commissioner Higgins? Okay.
No, it sounds like we just need to advance the list at this point.
That's right. Yep. So we look for a motion to do that.
Motion to add the Community Development Block Grant Project list to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Any questions? Okay. Hearing none and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a capital project related to the solar array.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
As you recall, in January of this year, the Board of Commissioners approved a grant application for submission to the West Penn Power Sustainable Energy Fund for our solar array at the Center County Correctional Facility. The grant has been awarded, and it's in the amount of $25,000. It comes to us, and then it's passed through to our contractor, Solar Renewable Energy. And there are a couple of things within this grant contract approval that we need to do, such as providing a press release and a short 3 to 5 page overview of the project. And they're helping us to put that together right now. But this was just the final piece in getting that money to Solar Group.
Excellent news.
Yeah.
Excellent news. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, super. We look for a motion.
Motion to add the grant agreement with West Penn Power Sustainable Energy Fund to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Margaret. We appreciate it. Okay. We're going to join in the correctional facility from all the way up there on Grisham Hill Road. Is that Glenn or is that Chris?
It's Glenn, sir.
Glenn, Deputy Warden, how are you?
Good. How are yourself?
Oh, we're excellent. We have wanted to give you the spotlight, the limelight, to discuss this, what this money's going to and how it's going to improve safety and security at your facility.
Yes, sir. Earlier this year, the Board of Commissioners approved a grant application to the PCCD, which the county was ultimately awarded a grant for additional body-worn cameras for correctional staff. Since that grant has been awarded, we have purchased 10 new additional body cameras, which have all been deployed throughout the facility. So right now, the majority of our staff on shift have a body-worn camera. Of course, the cameras are activated for any type of incident within the facility. It's an extra layer of safety and security for staff and inmates in the facility. What this letter is today is just a sub-grant award letter, basically saying the county agrees to abide by all the stipulations of the grant that we were already awarded. We are seeking approval for this sub-grant letter today.
Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. Any questions, comments, feedback for Glenn?
Good project.
Okay, we look for a motion.
Motion to approve the sub-grant award notification from PCCD.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Deputy Warden, thank you once again. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
We have today's consent agenda in front of us. Would there be a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve today's consent agenda.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, consent agenda is approved. Okay, for letter of support, we'll turn it over to Commissioner Higgins for a discussion on the SBDC.
Sure.
Yeah.
The SBDC has been very helpful with our small business grant program. They've been churning through hundreds of applications at this point for completeness and accuracy and to ensure that everyone who applied actually does exist as a small business in Center County. As we're all aware, the funding for a broad variety of state programs is going to be a bit dicey come December. And so the SBDC asked if we would consider sending a letter to our state senator and our 4 state representatives, just reminding them that the SBDC is a valuable part of our small business support here in Center County. I've been working with Natalie and Margaret on the wording. It's a pretty standard template. I just added in that we really appreciated their help during the small business grant. So we just need to get that out before the end of the month.
Okay. So would it be possible maybe on either Thursday or Tuesday, maybe Thursday we can look at a draft? Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have the rough draft in to Natalie already. She just needs to add in the names and addresses of the elected officials.
They've been super helpful with us, and I think so we're always happy to do letter of supports for groups. Yeah, so we'll take a look at it. Yeah, send it along.
Thanks.
All right. So, administrator's report, Margaret, anything to? Okay. All right. We have our check run, and it's
Yeah. Approaching an average size check run of $1,116,416.45. The checks of the week are to the Center County Youth Service Bureau, adding up to $153,841.91 for a broad variety of services to Center County youth and their families. So would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated September 18th.
been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the check run? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, Commissioner. For a bulletin board message, Margaret.
The Highway Safety Network has reached out to us. They are very interested in promoting traffic safety messaging and thought perhaps that the bulletin board messaging on CNET might be a good way to reach citizens and promote messages regarding aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving, seatbelts, motor safety, teen drivers, and work zone safety. I believe October might be Highway Safety Month, and so the timing of this would be appropriate if you were to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. We look for a motion to approve this bulletin board message via CNET.
Motion to approve the bulletin board message for CNET for the Highway Safety Network.
I'll second that.
All right. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. And then we'll go to Commissioner Dershowitz, please.
No voter registration report this morning.
Okay.
Get caught up again next week.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Any announcements we need to make? Any final announcements? Okay. Executive sessions. Any executive sessions to report? Okay. All right. And if I think you have, did you want to, before we have our question and answer session? Okay, sure. We'll let you. Sure. So, but any questions from the press? Yeah, please, Marley.
Is there a resource that's publicly available where residents can view how Center County is spending the rest of its CARES Act funds, in addition to obviously the small business and nonprofit relief funds?
Sure. So we have been we have been at some of our public meetings on Thursdays, we've been putting up a spreadsheet on the screen. There have been so we don't have a dedicated web page right now where it lists the specific allocations and projects. We do have the grant agreement that we sent, or the grant submission we sent to the DCED, outlining the suggested kind of where we would be in terms of those categories. We have seen other counties that have actually basically said, we have X amount of dollars and here's how we've spent each one. I think our focus has been getting the money out, making sure that the money's been allocated, but we are at some point going to be putting out more specific data on it. We did have at the end of August our first report to DCED, which essentially just had about $800,000 of PPE that we purchased, but there wasn't any other allocations. As we come to the end of September, I think you're going to see there's going to be more filling in the blanks there. And then as we go towards the end of October, you're really going to see a lot of money, especially on the small business front, going out. So we are working towards that, some sort of website, but because it's changing sometimes day after day, we want to look at more of a, is it weekly, bi-weekly, that we're putting that data out there. Sure.
Good.
Today we're anticipating a app, PA alert app, to be launched, basically letting folks know further about maybe if they were around someone who had COVID-19, hopefully to help, I guess, in the contact tracing process and other processes to curb the spread of COVID-19. Just reaction of that program. Some have been critical, saying it should have been up sooner, but it takes time, to get these in place as well. Just your take on the program overall, if you think, especially given, Penn State students or even the community, could this be a helpful resource there?
Sure. It's from some of the countries and areas of the world that have been able to flatten the curve and get in front of the COVID-19 earlier, based upon their experience with MERS or SARS. They've developed these type of alerts on phones that essentially will help people know if they've come in contact, quarantine, check up on some of their symptoms during the quarantine, and eventually say, you're able to leave. It's really just using science and technology to keep people safe. I think there is, though, in this country, a little bit of a hesitancy because we've had a lot of concerns about privacy and data security over the last decade, and what does that mean? And so while other countries have been able to talk about this and have that conversation from maybe decades ago, I think people are going to be a little bit concerned about, what's being asked, what kind of personal information. But at the end of the day, all it's doing is essentially using location tracking to anonymously let you know if you've come into contact with somebody that has COVID-19. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about it. It has some definite merits, but I think that I can anticipate there being people who are a little hesitant to it. I know on the latest Apple phone update, you could have a similar thing turned on your phone to let you know that that's the case. We'll wait and see. Penn State has one as well. I don't know about a location one, but they have one where you can check your symptoms and log that. So however we can use technology to keep us safe, I think we're all in favor of that. And again, if it helps us to reopen the economy, make sure that we're having less people sick, it's certainly beneficial. So I would encourage people to do a little bit more research into it and find out, get some more thoughts on it.
Did you say children are going to be eligible for the testing this?
That is correct. There's no age limit when it comes to doing the pop-up testing. Yep.
What's at the esteemed trustees meetings last week at Penn State, the president and others said, we're doing pretty well in terms of COVID. Don't focus on the numbers on campus. You should focus on the number of people hospitalized, hospital capacity. Do you agree with that statement?
I think it's on all of the above. We need to focus on the cases, the testing, the contact tracing, the quarantining, hospitalization, vent use, and ultimately fatalities. And the thing with COVID-19 is basically when one rises, the next one typically rises a few weeks later, the next one rises. And so I think it's that statement probably was a little too early to make. I think maybe a month or 2 months into this, return of students, you could say that. But again, the virus will do what the virus does. I think it's most important to look at that as a continuum and to follow the continuum and see where we're at. So, but if we start to see an increase in ICU utilizations, ventilator usage, and then ultimately fatalities, that's we need to bring that case number down. That case number needs to come down as well.
they got the Green Party issue, I think, decided in the courts. Is there anything else holding up the printing of ballots, do you know, or is that underway, or?
No, last week on Thursday, we received the Secretary of State's certification. Immediately, our staff began to do what's known as testing. And so they finalized the ballot, and they shipped it out to our printer. Printer prints on the actual paper they're going to print some test ballots, mails that to us, overnights it to us, and then they run that, and then our staff runs it through each of the counters that people will be using on Election Day. And if everything works out well, printer will start printing and the ballots will be out. So it's very likely that mid-next week, voters would start to have their ballots being mailed out with receipt later in the week, over the weekend.
Ballpark cost for a drop-off box?
Sure. So a single drop location, so in terms of just one, is about $2,200 a single box. We will have some good news to release soon about a grant that we applied for, and about how that will be able to offset any taxpayer costs for the drop boxes. But we'll get to that in a day or two just to make sure everything is ironed out. But as of today, it's about a $2,200.
Are the plans to move ahead with drop-off box distribution for the upcoming election?
For the
November election?
Yes. On Thursday, we submitted our plan for ballot return processes to the Department of State's Bureau of Election Security and Technology, and pending their approval, we would be able to.
So the county's moving ahead.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just asked because Sunday night on national telecast, the Senate Majority Leader said they are going to fight last Thursday's court ruling to the highest court in the land, but the county's going to move ahead with the latest ruling on the drop-off boxes.
From my perspective, yes.
We need to make it as easy as possible for Center County citizens who are eligible to vote. This will make it fairly easy, and they will be in secure locations under 24/7 video monitoring. And they're in public buildings, I think, for the most part, if not entirely.
Well, and I appreciate him saying that. I'm not sure when his comments were recorded. We ultimately had the very untimely and sad, tragic death of Associate Justice Ginsburg on the court, which makes it a split court. So my assumption would be that anything taken to the Supreme Court on this would be a 4-4 ruling, which potentially would sow more doubt. They're not going to get a Supreme Court justice confirmed in the next 10 days, when the plan would be to start these drop boxes. So I don't know what that would do, essentially. I mean, I think you're going to get a 4-4 decision. That's my take on what would happen if it goes to the Supreme Court. But again, the arguments are actually occurring in the Western District right now in front of Judge Ranjan. And I think he gave until early October to get final arguments in, or late September. So again, we've confidence in this. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania backed us up on that, saying that they are legal. We can use the drop boxes. And so we'll go from there. But again, if we need to pivot, we need to make adjustments, we certainly will.
Oh, Bryce Jordan Center,
Sure.
Is that, where are we with that in terms of precincts?
Yes, so Bryce Jordan Center, we got it. We have an agreement that was just sent over by the university yesterday. That's going to be finalized hopefully this week, where the Board of Elections and Commissioners will be taking a look at it. But that would essentially move the on-campus voting precincts from the hub to the Bryce Jordan Center. Any other questions, comments? Okay. All right, we'll look for a motion to adjourn then at 11:05.
Motion to adjourn at 11:05.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.